Okay, guys, I want to give you a couple of tips on the 21st century neck turning and any neck turning in general, okay? Tip number one is a lot of people will stop just in front of the datum line right there. And if you stop just in front of the datum line, you have the possibility of when you firing it, getting a donut right there and ruining that piece of brass. That's why it's really important to go just one turn into the datum line. That's hard to do whenever you're neck turning by hand, but it's really easy to do when you neck turn on a 21st century because you can stop it.
Right. Well, the 21st century as well. The cutter to the 21st century. If you can look right here, it's actually a 20-degree cutter. So that means that 20-degree cutter is going to allow me to cut my neck and come down and cut just slightly into the datum line so that we don't come out and have donuts later on. So that's very important. I know some people, they'll just come in with a hand turner that's a flat cutter and they'll stop as soon as they get to the bottom. I like to at least get just a slight cut into your datum line right there. And you can see it where it's just shiny right underneath the neck right there so that we don't develop a donut. On the other hand too, when you guys are cutting your necks, what you can do is I use CLP or you can use motor oil. It doesn't matter. I use the CLP because I'm lazy and it's fast and I can just hold this down, pour it into the lip. And I do this about every 3 cases that I turn, and it doesn't take a whole lot. You just dip your Q-tip in there. I come right here, I dab it on the neck just a little, and then I'll get it right here on the cutter and on the turn mandrel right there. And all it's gonna do is it's gonna give you a little bit of lube so that when you're cutting, it's smoother and it doesn't eat up your bit as bad. Now, I know there's gonna be a lot of people out there who may question how much material. Trey had a good question of how much are we taking too much material off. Okay, some people are going to be okay with setting this, and what they'll do is they'll turn about 70 to 80% of the neck, meaning you'll see where it's extremely shiny and new where we cut it, but then they're going to have some low spots. Okay, I don't think that they're wrong. I don't think that there's a right or wrong way of doing it. It's all personal preference. In my personal opinion, if I'm going to sit here and take the time to neck turn, I'm gonna neck turn to where I'm getting a clean cut all the way down that neck. If I see a low spot, like Trey mentioned in his other video, you can go through this whole case and be getting clean cuts all the way through and find one that has a low spot or a couple of low spots. What I'll do is I'll go back, I'll bring my cutter down just a little, and I'll go back and redo it and then keep that going forward. Now, do you have to do that? No. If you don't do that, are you wrong? No. Like I said, it's all personal preference. It's all depending on what works for you and what doesn't. Now, I know a lot of guys out there know way more than I do, and in their eyes, I may be completely wrong, but this is just what works for me, and I'll just continue to keep doing it.
So, guys, I'm gonna tell you something that's crazy. I started into the long range and reloading game, I don't know, 12 years ago now, I think. And I started with a 6.5-47 Lapua, and I had Lapua cases, and I didn't even know. I just started neck sizing, and I didn't neck turn. And it was crazy that I got 1/4-inch group. I mean, that thing just shot amazing. Well, as I've started learning, I'm trying to see, I think this one had a low spot. As I've started learning, especially with other people's brass. Hornady brass is a big one. I've started learning that it's better to go ahead and turn all of the necks to make them more uniform, and then you don't get that occasional flyer. So you're shooting a 5-shot group, and it's one hole, one hole, one hole. All of a sudden, up and to the right, and you're like, dang it, that took me from a 16th inch group to a 1/2-inch group thin. What happened? I felt like the shot broke good. I've had less of those now that I've started neck turning. Also, lower pressure, higher velocities, and being able to have longer case brass life. So anyway, these are just some tips that I wanted to add in. We thought we'd tell you along the way because like I said, doing 300 of these, this is the most lengthy part of reloading. It takes the longest, but for me, for us both, this is probably one of the key, most important steps that you guys want to follow.
And the good thing is that you only have to, once you've turned all your necks, you only have to do this once. And Trey's exactly right. This is the most tedious and longest process. Now, of course, if you own a Giraud trimmer, that makes trimming 1,000 times easier. But besides trimming, if you don't have a Giraud, this is going to be the most time-consuming, nitpicking part of the process. But once you turn them and you clean them, you're done. You don't have to do this unless you get another lot or new brass or what have you not. But it's a one-time deal, and in my opinion, it's worth it.
All right, guys, do you neck turn, do you not? That's up to you. I like it. We like it. Several people we shoot with don't neck turn. Several people we shoot with do neck turn. And it seems like the edge goes to the guys who do neck turn, but, reloading's a hobby. And how far do you want to go into it? Anyway, guys, ponder on it.